So he didn't, never mind. He was a terrible driver. He was.
I got stopped the other day
Talk
because I
about
was wearing a seatbelt.
this new
And I just,
two-step process with the
in
Google
Weymouth.
thing, because I just went
Yeah.
through it last
They-
night.
Trying to get the
He
kids
came right alongside me.
Linda, you're going to have to introduce us to that topic.
I waited him out.
We were just sort of talking about
I
it,
waited
so.
him out.
Because I don't think I know what you're talking
I
about at
didn't
the
give him my
moment.
license. I said, oh, my license
Well,
is
it's a big problem.
I
I know it's to protect you, but
And
Are you talking about the two-factor
he
authentication?
said, well,
Yeah.
do you have any money? And I said, no, I don't have any money. Oh, no.
Got away with it?
Yeah. He finally went away. He says, you're my friend. You're my friend. He says, no ticket, no ticket. But it took me 15 minutes. I had
Hey,
the trailer
we're up.
behind the car as well. And
I thought you weren't coming.
They took Jennifer's license.
No, of course I'm coming.
I
They
gotta
took
leave right at
Jennifer's
10
license
o'clock.
plate away when she left.
Well, I appreciate you sending out an announcement to everybody. I got up early this morning and got back on the ball for Computer Club, so I sent out announcements and updated the website.
Well, I
And
already put it on the calendar for George, so I did that last week.
I wonder if we shouldn't, if I shouldn't schedule an event on Facebook too, so just every week it pops up. And
Oh, that would be a good idea.
The only reason I know is because Bob told me.
ah,
And I'm your friend on Facebook.
well,
You didn't get my email?
truth be told, I haven't been spending a lot of time on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the other thing Google did. You know, I had the whole computer club on Gmail,
Oh,
and I went
darn
to
it!
send
I have
out
to.
the notice.
I have to kill this stream
Oh,
for
they
a
didn't
second.
delete all that.
So
They
if
deleted
anybody's
all of
listening
it,
to
and I
this,
had to
just
go
just
back
try
in
again in just a
to
moment. I'll be
Google
right back.
now, and you have to put it in this thing. It took me a couple hours figuring it out.
There we go. Let's start this again.
How can I
And
get
every
rid of it?
person's name had the computer club next to it, but when I went to get the group, well, it turned
Okay.
out that you have to click on BCC.
No,
And then the group comes up, and then you send it out.
stop it again.
Robin, do you send pictures on your computer? You do.
And people say to me, well, you know so much. I said,
Things
because
that you're
I
doing here with your family, your daughter.
trying to find the answers.
That kind of stuff.
Right, you don't give up.
Yes.
You
If
know,
I'm
I took
traveling,
that out and
if
just now
I
have a
left it
copy.
at that. And that kind of helped. I think there's the whole, I was nice.
That was a disappointing thing.
Well, the thing is, the Telmex doesn't explain to you how to get on in the U.S. on your smartphone. Well, I finally figured it out. That you have to take the data and everything off, turn off the phone, turn the phone back on, find the T-Mobile, and then put all the data and everything back on. I couldn't
Go to
figure out why I
Walmart,
couldn't
do
get
what I
on.
did. Go to Walmart, get a $20 phone. It satisfies her when you're up here. You know, it's just easier.
No, but you know, you're spending $500 on a telephone. You want to be able to use it.
Yeah.
So I finally figured that out this year.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a moment away. I'm very frustrated because all this stuff was working before. I tested it all out this morning.
Well, just do it without it.
I may have to. That's a valid question. It was kind of early. All right. Are you working? No, you're not. You're not working at all. Why you're not working, I don't know.
Maybe it's Google.
It's definitely a Scott thing. I'm going to steal one of these other microphones. Let's go. Let's do this.
It gets to the point where it's so frustrating. That's the way I was with the phone.
Whew.
Screw it. And I went up and bought this cheap.
That's going to work. We're going to use that microphone for our audio stream. And I'll figure out what's going on with this microphone later. I think we are online and recording. And we're ready to start. If everybody's ready to start.
Just a word from our sponsor is all we need.
Welcome. My name's Scott Stimson, and this is actually the second computer club of this season. Last week it was just Linda and I, and you would think I'd have all these errors shook out of the system by the time we would meet today. It was a secret meeting. Nobody announced it. And it really didn't matter. I had no internet in my house, so I was unprepared. There was bad internet here. In fact, I think they're still having internet problems here. We're streaming on my phone right now. So that was unintended. But I'm from International Computer Solutions. Let me finish this. And this is the San Carlos Computer Club. And we've got a nice group that's meeting. And we will get into some tech topics and try and solve the world's problems in the next 45 minutes to an hour.
I don't have any problems.
No. You might. You might, because we've got to talk about Apple's most recent misstep with their operating system update. But first, let me ask you guys if you have anything that you came to club with, anything that you wanted to announce. Chester, did you bring something with you today? Nothing? It's really good to see you.
Yeah, I was wondering if they put in the new fiber optics in Villa Rosa. All of a sudden, I've got this fast.
I should say silence your cell phones, because I have forgotten to do that to mine. There we go. I imagine something has happened to their infrastructure. Like I started out by saying, I showed up without internet, and I don't know about you guys, Telmex has been ridiculous to work with recently. Ridiculous to work with.
I found that out.
Yeah, that's right. We were sharing some experiences earlier this week. My wife got here 2 weeks before I did, and she still didn't have internet by the time I showed up. She had to report it 2 more times. I reported it twice. I called their 800 number. They got to talk to a person, then got disconnected, and then called back and was told, we're working on your issue, and it was hung up on me without them collecting any data except for my phone number. Called them back 6 times, being hung up on by their automatic response before I finally could talk to a human. They gave me a report number for what I was supposedly reporting that I later found out was actually the report number that they'd given my wife 2 weeks earlier. So to me, that was like acknowledgement we haven't done anything for you in 2 weeks.
I've been waiting on Mexico.
Well, right now you've got 2 weeks to beat. So if they get to you within 2 weeks, they're doing better than Telmex right now. Maggie asked me to check her internet connection up here on the Caracal, and that was last week about this time. I reported it, gave them my phone number, haven't heard a thing, so I'm going to go and see if anything's been done. Undoubtedly, it's a pole out away from her house that the line is broken on because everything's down. And I don't know if you guys heard about that Villahermosa Creston area, but apparently my office and the surrounding neighborhood lost internet for 3 days
Oh, I'm fine.
before I got back.
All I can say is right now, thank you, God. It's fine.
What?
No.
Right this very minute.
You know, I live on Baja. We haven't had any problems at all.
Right?
Everybody says we live on Baja.
They call that the Baja?
Well, they say, why do you live so far out of town? You live on Baja.
Right.
You swam here.
Well, at the moment, you can't live much farther away and still get high-speed internet. Yeah. Well, and what I'd like to say is that fiasco before I got back, where it was just days without internet in Creston, the girls reported to me that they saw Telmex trucks all over that area, digging in holes and running out. It was like they were scurrying around trying to figure out why the whole neighborhood was down. When we finally got internet, sorry, Bob. When we finally got internet out in the Ranchitos after like the 4th or 5th report, they finally came out and fixed it. I've got better internet than I've ever had. My max speed before was at most 8, and it normally sat around 6. And now I'm getting 9.5 or right at the upper limit of 10. And the tech that I'm paying for 10. I'm paying for 10, so I'm getting absolutely what I've contracted. You know, that's how that works. Is you pay for 10, you get guaranteed 5 and up to 10. They have a 20, which would be a guaranteed 10 up to 20, and the tech told my wife that the way I'm hooked up, we could easily contract 20, which is something that was not available before. So whatever they did, you know what I think? I think they upgraded equipment, or they had equipment go out during the storms, and so they put new equipment in its place that has more capacity, and it's just screwed up. And for folks like ourselves that may have not been here when this happened, nobody's reporting the screw up until they get home and find they have no phone line. Mm-hmm. See, Maggie's got the same experience. She paid for internet and phone all summer, and I went to check it out, and it's a dead line. There's nothing useful. My home line, when I got home, just had staticky noise. You could make phone calls, but it was just a horrible static crossed across it, like it was trying to talk to internet with no luck. And she told me, I wasn't at home when the guy was dealing with it, but he told her the equivalent of hooking up to a different channel on the circuit out on the pole, and then he spent over an hour on the phone trying to get it activated with Mexico City. But in the end, we've got this awesome internet connection now. Bob, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No.
You forgot. You forgot.
What? No, I haven't forgotten. No, I've been thinking about this for 2 weeks, this particular group. And people have asked me numerous times, why don't you know how to send pictures? Why don't you know how to do this thing or that thing? You just said that's the one thing you know how to do, send pictures, right? Well, yes, but you're adding to that. Okay. There are some basic things that I think that we should know. Now, if you look around the table, we've got people that have been with HP, with Apple. Jim is very knowledgeable about solar and energy. Ed's been working on trying to get free TV for the last year. You know, he wants to have absolute free TV. And he has learned a lot.
Down to $5.
$5. Chester knows a lot about photography. Okay? And as it relates to computers.
Photoshop.
And
yeah, like virtual darkroom work.
You're kind of a know-it-all of all kinds of different things.
That's what my wife calls me.
A know-it-all?
I know it all.
Okay. Okay, you're an Apple guy. Okay, there's some other Apple guys. Okay, exactly. That's my point. I'm dealing with an organization in Tucson. People come, and there's a question and answer period, and they want to share everything they know about something that nobody's interested in. Okay, and they have to get it out.
Like we're getting from you.
No, not exactly. I mean this in the nicest way, but you have a lot of information about computers, and you share a lot. And some of it's interesting, but a lot of it is way over my head. Now, that's not bad, because I pick up a little bit here and there. But I think we need to be able to bring people along with the area of photography, the area of Apple, because Apple's doing some things that nobody else does. We know that. Yes, we know that. Okay? Some of the basic things we're not addressing. And I was asked by other people, you go to this computer club and you don't know how to do this?
Well, let me
Can you ask the
preface one
question?
thing that you're saying, Bob.
Sometimes you don't know what question to ask. either.
But you have to stay up with the technology. And if you don't stay up with the technology and learn what's going on right now, you're still back in the other technology. And so you don't know some of the answers because, for instance, you've been stagnant on going up to 10, Windows 10, and learning Windows 10 because the new Windows is a lot different
Okay.
And better.
and better.
Okay, I've
And
been
way
told by an
better.
expert, don't go to Windows 10.
Well, that's
Stay.
untrue.
that-
Totally
Hey.
untrue.
This is a
You haven't
guy
been told
goes-
that. You haven't been told that by this expert.
Totally untrue.
Well, I'm sorry,
year
but
ago, I
you
was-
got people that are saying that Windows 7 still
But
is.
you
has-
can't get any more. If you're still back at Windows 7, you are very vulnerable.
I know.
But that's not true about Windows 10.
Well,
Windows
I'm
10
not
is
saying-
excellent.
I'm not saying that we need to deal with basics all the time.
You are.
I'm saying. Let me finish.
Did you listen to him?
What?
What's that?
Nothing.
Okay, what I'm saying is 10% of our meetings, I think, ought to be dealing with some of the basics. 10%.
But we're supposed to know the basics.
But
All
we
of this
don't.
has been coming.
That's the point.
That's the assumption.
Well,
That's
I,
your
I
assumption.
appreciate what
Okay.
Bob's saying. It seems like there are some skills that just we should know. We should just like I think the sharing pictures is a great example.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is changing. It's in flux every time there's a new technology.
Right.
You want to do the same thing, but there's a different way to do it. I
Right.
mean, I think about sharing pictures, and nowadays it's not about scanning them from a scanner, sticking them in your computer, sending them on an email. It's more taking them with your phone and sharing them with an app so that they go into an instant messenger chat, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're right, Bob. There are some fundamentals that we should always be brushing up on.
Right.
We should be able to answer those questions for people.
For instance, yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe
anymore.
the things you could share, Chester, are more like concepts like how to use layers, what assets are, how to organize the pieces you're using in your photo, and on that rudimentary level that everybody could appreciate. What's that?
It's not rudimentary.
Well, all these Photoshop style programs now incorporate things like layers and assets. And so if you want to just dive into any photo program, you need to have some idea how you're going to get like the steering wheel is always on the left in this country. No, always. It doesn't matter what car you're driving. It doesn't matter if it's electric or hybrid or whether it's an old diesel. Those fundamentals stay the same. So it doesn't matter if it's Photoshop or Paint.net or if it's Ink, Spot, whatever it is. These concepts of how to work with a photo remain the same. And Chester's background is doing it in Photoshop.
Well,
Go ahead,
let
Linda.
me
I'm
say
sorry.
this. Part of this, you're right. Like a lot of people don't know how to use Messenger and how to put the pictures in Messenger. But when you take the picture, it's really high pixels. So you need to do a pixel resizer, and that would probably be more important.
Yes, you're
Teaching
right.
people how to do pixel resize because people don't necessarily want to fix their pictures. I want to take a picture of you, we're at a party, and I want to put it on Messenger and send it out to everybody, but the picture's too big.
Sure,
So a
yeah.
lot of people don't know you have to take the time to get a pixel resizer, resize the picture, then add it. But a lot of people don't know how to use Messenger, and like everybody, all my girlfriends, everybody down here, we're all using Messenger all the time. We're not even using email.
Can I also make a comment with respect to what you're talking about? When you're using your camera, don't take it this way. Turn it sideways.
Right.
For God's sake.
Right.
But, well, okay, to be fair, that's become an appropriate way to take pictures. I agree with you. I come from that school of thought.
I can't use them in a video or anything else unless you
Turn them.
sideways. Take them this way. I got a job.
You can't edit it.
Well, you don't. You gotta just You gotta just edit it.
Yeah.
But if you go
Well,
full screen,
turn
you
it.
wind up
Chester,
with black spots.
we're not going back to that anymore. I mean, I don't know if you noticed some of the new announcements, but Apple actually has a portrait mode now. Well, and what that means is that it's not cutting off that data on the sides when you do it, because this is the way they used to do it. They used to, you take a portrait picture. What that really is a picture with less information in it, because they're cutting away that data from the two sides and making that, and that would infuriate me the same way you're infuriated with you not turning it landscape. Well, they fixed that. So because portrait mode is,
Has Android fixed it?
I don't
Yes.
know.
All you have to do on
It may have already
Android,
been fixed
take
on
your
Android.
picture this way. When you turn it this way,
No, just turn
you
it.
can just no. You do the little circle and you just rotate the picture. You rotate the picture to
Yeah, but
be
if
this
you-
way.
Well,
You
and the
snap it
difference
vertically.
is that when
If
you
you
rotate the
rotate it,
You
picture,
snap it this
It
way.
gets black on
you
both
don't lose
sides.
it now. Whereas
With an Apple. But then you send it to me and I can do anything with it. It's not something I can put in a slideshow or in a movie because it's
yeah,
portrait.
I have to disagree, and I don't like it either.
But you
I
rotate
don't,
it.
but you get ready. We're going to be going to the movie theaters. It's already happened, and there's going to be scenes that are in portrait mode
Yeah.
because it's considered appropriate now. It's considered the way you can take video and the way that you can take pictures. It's you got to live with it. It's we're not walking away from it. We're leaning into it.
Everybody takes their pictures this way.
But you just
Yeah.
turn it. You just turn it, and then it just adjusts.
That's fine until you send it to me. And once you send it to me, I get
Well,
it.
can't you rotate it?
Well, what Chester's saying is, please rotate it.
Oh.
He's saying, take it landscape. Don't take it portrait. You're
Right.
missing all that data.
Right.
And my point is, that's the way people are taking pictures now. I mean, and it used to be a kludge. You used to lose data when you would take a picture like that.
All the time, they take their movies that way too. And then you see it on TV and half of it's blocked out.
Okay.
It's-
So did you notice the?
It's not going away. It's totally not
Did you
going
notice
away.
the Las Vegas shooting, and people were taking their videos, and it was the same way. Right.
Look, we,
Blurred out.
Everybody does.
And so
I-
it just looks like a scramble. You don't really see anything.
Right.
I have a generation in my house that don't think there's anything wrong with it, think that's the way videos are supposed to be made. I mean, they're 9 and 11, but they don't know any other difference. That's the way they take pictures. That's the way the videos they watch on YouTube many times are those kinds of videos that they.
Well, I think we've had that talk before about the children.
Mhm.
They just learn to do it. For us, we have to understand the whole thing and
Mhm.
go through the whole thing. They just automatically do it. You do it this way. They don't ask the question why you do it, how you do it. We
I-
all have to. Our age group has to ask
I,
how
when,
you do it, why you
why,
do it. We
yep.
have to have all the answers. They don't care.
I'm constantly caught off guard by the number of times I have to ask my child, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Right? They don't ask me how to do it. They figure out a way to do it, and they don't even understand that it's something that I wouldn't know, that it's something that they just came up with. And a good example that my youngest daughter has gotten into making these little brick animations with an old cell phone I have. And so she's setting up Legos, and she'll take a shot, and she'll move it, and she'll take another shot and move it. And I mean, she's 9, so the quality is. But what blew me away was she was able to link them all together into an animation. And I'm like,
Well,
wait a second, how'd you do that?
my 11-year-old grandson is doing coding. In fact, I've got one of his programs on his camera. It's a graphics program, too. And it's much easier than Photoshop.
Well, and instead of worrying about a foundation, like what application do I use to do animation with, my daughter's like looking at the Samsung camera, or no, actually it was Lineage, the camera that came with the Lineage operating system, and she sees, what is this? This is an animation function. And so she's been able to put all this together with some proprietary piece of software that I've never been exposed to. That I mean, like she knows what she wants to do, and she's found something that will do it, and she has no idea that, well, that doesn't work on the PC, that doesn't work on your tablet. She just figured out how to do it with this device in her hand.
Well, my point in bringing this up, first of all, it takes a little bit of thought as to how you address this. Like I have a question about how to send pictures. Okay, if you took 10% of your meeting time, a little more structure, a little more structure, 10%, and you answer certain questions, and then after that, if somebody asks a question like, "Well, I didn't quite understand that," well, after the meeting, you could talk with them about this, or bring it up again at the next meeting, okay? And then deal with the stuff that everybody wants to deal with for the rest of the meeting. That's
Well, we were
Sure.
him and I were discussing last week was we could set a laptop up on the TV over here, and we could do any amount of demos, show you how to do them. But you were just crying because you have to pixel resize the pictures in order to send them. You can't take good quality pictures at 3,400 or 4,200 or whatever the phone's taking the picture at without resizing it because you can't send a 2 megabyte picture, it just won't send.
right.
You have to make it smaller, so.
And you're correct in that all the pictures you take to the maximum quality.
Right, but then then back them up.
Why
Right,
can't
and
you
then
send
resize them.
2 megabyte pictures?
Huh?
Why can you not
You
send
just
the
have
2
a lot of data.
megabyte?
It takes too much data.
Yeah, but you can do it, right?
Yeah, you can do
But
it,
it's
and
very slow.
but it's got.
Hours
I
sometimes.
send 10 megabyte sound files all the time, and they just go lickety split
But pictures won't.
Well,
on my.
well, you're both right because we come from a period of time where 2 megabytes was a lot to send, but it's changed very quickly now.
But
And
it's slow. If you send it on Gmail, 2 megabytes picture or more is very, very slow. But we could do that demo on the TV over here very easy.
Where is the TV?
It's
You're
right
talking
here at the
about
bar.
sending from a phone, not from a
Right
PC.
down here at the bar.
well, and the other. Oh, I'm
See
sorry,
down at the
Chester.
bar
What?
near the bathrooms?
Yeah?
There's a big TV right there.
Oh, I didn't know.
I think she's talking about sending pictures from a phone, which I'd like to know more about.
Right.
Mhm.
Not sending them from a PC.
Correct. Correct. Sometimes you have to make
That's the
them.
lecture I'd like to know.
Sometimes you have to make them smaller. I have a pixel resizer on here, so if I take a good quality picture, I can size it
I'd
down.
like to hear that.
Because if you're just sending pictures to your friends, they don't care.
Well, because I asked Robin, do you know, Robin knows more than I know, but Robin's still basic compared to some of the people around here, right? Yeah, okay, so,
Robin, there's nothing basic about you.
Well,
You're
I
a very
know.
complicated woman.
okay. What I was reading about, we're thinking of a trip to Thailand, and they call themselves a digital nation. They want to bring everything up digital. And I thought to myself, that's the way the world is going.
Hey, we should get into some of this. Have you guys paying attention to Tesla and how they're doing batteries? They're doing the Powerwall stuff, and that's Puerto Rico is going to end up being the test bed for a completely new style electrical interface, electric grid.
And Serbia right now is putting windmills for power generation all over Mexico.
Serbia is putting them in Mexico.
In Mexico.
That's interesting.
I know. I know. But, you know, when they said that this is a digital nation, we are making this into a digital nation, I thought to myself, whoa, what does that really mean? You know, and I can let my imagination go, but then I thought, I really should be learning about more of the basics.
Oye, Chino, ¿puedo tener un café? Gracias.
Oh, well, we're doing that right now. Yeah, we've been doing that for a month. Yeah.
When are you going?
We don't know.
Okay, this is good stuff, and we should be thinking in those terms. Another thing that I was thinking with Linda that would be nice is if we had like one of those mini projectors, because what we could do is just hang a white sheet back here, stick a projector on the table, and we could have something projected back here that would we
Who
could
has a
demo
projector?
stuff.
Who has a projector?
Well, they're really a.
Old technology.
I know that.
Well, you know, what's changed about projectors is that they don't use those fragile, expensive bulbs anymore. They use high-intensity LED bulbs, and they're making them a third the size, so they're very portable and compact. And you can get into one of those kinds of projectors for $300 to $600. So it's really available to do something like that.
Yeah, I'm aware of that because we did presentations and had architectural presentations, and we used that, but I had to hire a guy to be able to do it for us.
Yeah, they've been building Pico projectors for cell phones. So they've got projectors that are about this size. They're good for up to about 5 or 6 feet on the wall. And that's what they're intended for, is impromptu presentations off of your mobile device.
You know, remember Ronald, the black man that came?
Oh yeah,
last year?
yeah.
Okay.
He has a
He had
Pico.
one of those.
Yeah, built right into the lip
Right.
of his his tablet, his Android tablet. No, that's very cool. So that's something that we could do too. That way we wouldn't have to move or gather in front of a TV. We wouldn't have to worry about trying to do connections or running HDMI cables.
Well, if we could hook into that TV over there,
Yeah, we just have to gather around the bar and run a cable across the bar to get to it.
Somebody's gotta have a spare flat screen somewhere. I've got one that's a spare 19 inch. Huh? Flat or spare.
I only have a 32-inch. I have a 32-inch flat screen TV
Yeah?
because we take it down to Wyabitos with us.
Well, this wall is the wall to use it against, not over there. Because here you have a dark wall,
Right.
and look this way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I kind of feel that way, but we'll use whatever we can get a hold of.
Right, right.
Well, I can bring a 32-inch, and I have a extender router we can use.
Well, we definitely need to do something because we don't have internet right
Well, that's why I
now.
was discussing with them that we were to get an extender for out in here.
And I'm going to talk to Chino when we're done here and find out what's going on because it's just worthless today. There is
He doesn't
is
have
anybody connected to their Wi-Fi right now? I mean, I'm running all this off my phone right now.
I'm just using my phone.
A device connected?
Mine's dead.
Hey, let me see that for a moment. I wonder if I might have a. No.
You lost your.
I left it out at Denny's in Tucson, and they can't find it. What do you need?
Yeah, and it's a standard size that I don't have.
It's kind of an oddball size, you know.
You really need to buy the one that goes with it.
that should be a magnet.
No, it's not a
Got a
magnet.
little problem.
But the Macs have magnets.
I thought that was a magnet.
That's
No,
an
no.
HP. I do have some.
HP.
It's an HP.
Came from me.
The problem is most of them have their own proprietary. That's what I found with HP. They have a proprietary AC adapter.
Right. It'll change. It's changing this year. I mean, what Linda's saying about it, most of these laptops all have a proprietary power supply. And so you have to get it from the manufacturer. What you might try is go to JG Computers there in Guaymas Norte. They typically stock a generic replacement with different connect heads, and you can set it at different voltages. It's intended to replace power supplies, so it's got a voltage range, a current range, and it's got a variety of different heads that you can connect.
I had to have one replaced one time, and it came with a bar with about 8 or 10 different kinds of plug-ins.
Yep, yeah, that's what we're
And-
talking
and a
about.
dial on the top of the thing that you could tune it into.
How old's your laptop?
I wonder if it even needs a dial anymore. It
Why don't
seems
you
like the
just go
ones
to
I've
HP
seen
and
just
order the one that
automatically
goes with it?
switch to whatever voltage, whatever's
It's better
needed.
to do it that way. 'Cause
Like you
know
buy
what, you
it
could
and it's
blow-
compatible with
wind up
HP or Dell or something like that,
blowing
and then it sorts out the rest on its own.
I had an HP.
You know where that is?
I had a couple of
You know where JG is?
power sources.
In Guaymas Norte
You know where the casino is?
Casino.
Casino?
Oh, I'm thinking right closer to us. There's a JG's in Guaymas Norte.
Oh, okay.
If,
Where the light take a left.
that's
Yeah,
right.
It's up on the right.
It's up on the right, and if it wasn't obscure to find before, I think it's even more obscure now because there's so much going on. Keep an eye out for a small computer sign that just kind of pops out above the roofs of the houses that says JG Computers.
And there's parking right in front.
There's also one down by Bank Norte.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, it's by
There-
the
there-
old Soriana.
That's right. As you go to the old
Yeah.
Sorianas, there's one. There's one in Guaymas Norte, which I recommend because it's just easier than going into
He's
Guaymas.
thinking of the other computers.
Oh, you're thinking of
Garcia's.
Garcia's.
I think it's Garcia.
Yeah, it's by the gas station by Santander.
We don't we don't talk enough about Garcia's, but they actually have a very good selection of that kind of stuff too. Yeah, I'm sure they would have a battery eliminator is what I think you call them.
But
Hmm.
the
Back-
one in Norte is the one that carries the voltage regulators.
Back on this projector,
Mm-hmm.
the little computer that Ronald had,
Yeah, the
it
laptop.
projected,
Yes.
Did that work?
In the lip of it, it had a little Pico
yeah, wouldn't
projector.
that work?
Well, something like that would work. Yeah.
Why not just get him to come?
Well, I mean,
Try
okay, what his would do would project whatever is on his screen. So whatever, if we needed to do anything in Android, that would work. But for us to use it for like a Windows experience or something else, then there wouldn't be an easy way to project that. Gracias, señor. If you follow what I mean, we'd have to install software, and his tablet was Android 4. We'd have to install an app that could capture video from other devices before it could be put up on the screen. That's why a general computer would probably make more sense, or a general projector would make more sense. Guys, we've still got about 20 minutes. I really wanted to share with you a couple of cool things that's happened with my technology.
Yeah, I don't need anything.
I think you're interested in. I bought an Alexis. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. If anybody's got an Alexis, no, an Echo. I bought an Echo. Are you guys familiar with this? You've seen the commercials, I'm sure. So this is I bought the original Echo. I bought it on Amazon Prime Day. It's a device that was selling for about $187 on Prime. No, $189 on Prime Day. I got it for $87.
And what does it do?
So what it is it's a fairly high quality Bluetooth speaker, and its package is a long cylinder. It sits in the corner of your room. Needs to be plugged into power. It's probably about this tall, I don't know, probably half a foot tall, maybe getting close to a foot, somewhere between a half a foot to a foot tall. And it has a microphone array in it. It's connected to your Wi-Fi network, and you're able to talk to it, and it talks back to you. And so you can do things like ask to play music. And because I have a Prime account, there's a collection, a catalog of music that's available to Prime members. And I can say something like, Alexa, play Mexican music. And it will find a Mexican playlist, and it'll start playing music through this Bluetooth speaker. And it's fairly good quality. I mean, I'm not an audiophile.
How much was it? How much was it?
So I got it for like $87 on Prime Day. Since Prime Day, I think they've dropped it by at least $50. So I think you can get it for about $159. But I've been seeing it refurbished on Amazon for the price I paid for it on Prime Day.
They have one that's shorter that does the same thing.
That's right. They've got a number of different models now, and what I'm talking about is the original Echo. But they've also got one called the Dot, which is a $49 device that looks like a hockey puck. It does exactly the same thing, just has a lower quality speaker. And the concept of that is that you can bring smart assistants to any corner of your house by buying these pucks and distributing them around your house. And if you did need high quality audio, you can plug a stereo into the back of the puck, and so all the audio would be coming out of that room's stereo instead of the little speaker on the puck.
What drives it? There's got to be power.
Well, it's plugged into electricity. And there's aftermarket products that have been built for the puck and for the Echo. I called it the puck. It's called the Dot, but it looks like a hockey puck. There are aftermarket products for both these devices that are batteries that can be attached to them so they can be portable. You move them around your house. I think that the Dot is the killer device because of the price point and its size and these third-party devices that you can add to them. Because it's so easily added to a room without any real thought. But you could also take the Dot and you can drop it inside a battery / speaker. Now you've turned that into a portable Bluetooth speaker that's battery fed, so you don't have to plug it into electricity.
Is this unit continuously connected to the internet?
That's the idea. It's always connected to the internet, and for those of you that are concerned about privacy, you have none. I mean, in general, you don't have any privacy, but one of these, you specifically don't have any privacy because the thing has to monitor to know its catchphrases, to be able to know that you want something from it. It has to be listening to your room all the time. So there's, again, if you start from a premise you don't have any privacy to begin with, these are very interesting products. If you were bound and determined to be concerned about this stuff eavesdropping, it's definitely eavesdropping. It's the only way it can work.
But you can turn it off.
Well, yeah, you can unplug it. It's got a button on it that you can turn off the microphone, but it's assumed you can turn off the microphone. It gives a red light saying it's off. It definitely won't respond to any of your commands. But again, I'm always balancing this stuff with the whole privacy security issue. And last year, Samsung TVs, without being turned on, were listening to you. So I don't trust an Amazon device with a red light to say it's not actually listening to me. Since it's all controlled by software, you can write software that says turn on the light and keep listening. But this comes out of that area of thought where we're not going to worry about the privacy issues. We're going to look at the functionality that can be brought to us. My wife loves it. She can say play Latin music, and she's got music in the kitchen to listen to. She can skip through the tracks in the playlist.
Lights on and off.
Well, and then you can extend this. And what this device has is a feature called Skills, which and there's actually like an Alexis app store for Skills.
Well, why didn't you bring it?
Well, because it needs power. I mean, I can bring it in as a visual, but then we'd have to find a place to plug it in. We'd have to hook it up to this Wi-Fi network.
I'll bring in a 100-foot extension cord.
Right. But we'd have to go through setting it up to the Wi-Fi network here. It's intended within a pocket of Wi-Fi, so there's some configurations that would need to happen. But there's some other cool stuff that goes along with it because it's a Bluetooth speaker, but it's got this artificial intelligence. I can walk into the house and say I'm listening to music on my phone. I can say, Alexa, connect to my phone, and it will immediately move my phone over to the speaker, and now I'm listening to the music through the speaker. I don't have to fumble with Bluetooth or connecting to devices or any of that kind of stuff. I just tell Alexa to connect to my phone. These, at $100, that's a lot of ease of use at a cheap price. In the States, in Alaska, where I originally set it up, I was able to ask it for what movies were playing at the local movie theater, what time the next movie was. I was able to ask it for local news, local weather, like Google on your phone, precisely. In fact, they compete in the same space.
Is it like Fontana on your...
That's right. They compete in this, or Siri on your iPhone. They're all competing in the same space. Amazon was there first. Google does it better, has more options, and they actually have a home product called Google Home that competes directly with this product. But what Amazon's done better than any of these so far is the accuracy. There's only a handful of things you can do with it, but they almost work 100%. And that's what the other products still haven't been able to catch up with, is that accuracy.
Does it learn your voice?
Doesn't need to. And that's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't need to distinguish one voice from the other. Anybody can talk to it and get it to do things.
On this recording continually, is that stored somewhere?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
On the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. There's just, I mean, I come from that school of thought, if it can be done, it will be done. And so who knows what levels of legality they've put on those, like maybe they have terms of service that you've agreed to, or maybe for the user agreement they have agreed that this stuff would be unavailable in its form, like maybe it's encrypted so that nobody's able to look at it, it's not indexed so it can't be searched. But what it comes down to is you can't use this kind of technology without that kind of stuff happening. It has to happen. And so it really comes down to how are they treating that information.
Do any of you have one of these? I was at a party the other day, and he had the short one, and he said, I want to hear salsa. Salsa. Okay. I want a nice waltz. And that's all he said. And 5,000 different titles. You could ask it practically anything. It was really interesting.
Well, and it ties into key aspects of your Amazon account. For example, if you subscribe to their unlimited music, then it will pull music out of that collection and your playlists that you have made with that collection. If you're an audiobook subscriber, you can ask it to read you audiobooks. So that you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to put them. You don't have to sync them to a device. In fact, my sister is using a Dot in my niece's bedroom, so that she can ask for stories that have been approved by my sister, like bedtime stories. So the Dot is reading her bedtime stories as she's going to sleep. In fact, my youngest niece, she's the biggest user of the Alexa. She asks it questions. She asks it math questions. Yeah, stuff like that. No.
What you're talking about, asking about weather, asking about movies that are showing in the Times, I didn't realize it could do that.
Well, and I've been getting an email like every week with other suggestions of skills that you can use with Alexa. And right now I'm researching how to build my own skill, because podcasters are providing a skill for their audio, so that you can you could ask Alexa to play the last San Carlos Computer Club, and it would bring that up out of the internet and start playing it for you. It's a very intriguing device, and I bring it up because I brought it back to Mexico because I was concerned of how it would work in Mexico. In fact, honestly, I didn't think it would work. It does. I figured I would have to put it on a VPN, and then things like movies and weather would be worthless because it would think it was in a different place. But no, it works just fine in Mexico. It does give me Alaskan weather, and I haven't researched how to change whether it would even be able to give me WIMUS weather. But being able to bring up the same music we were listening, and I'm not subscribed to the music, the unlimited music subscription that Amazon has, I'm not subscribed to it. I'm using the Prime, the basic catalog, and we're getting plenty of music that's interesting to have in the background that so far I don't feel any reason to subscribe to it. And it's still doing the other questions. It's still answering questions and reading off facts from Wikipedia. It's still doing the flash briefings, which are skills from news agencies. So on the Alexa app, I've picked out certain periodicals that I want to hear from, and it's called a flash briefing. So I say, Alexa, play the flash briefing. And it goes through my list of periodicals, reading the most current news from each one of them, going one by one. If I've already listened to one, I can tell it to skip to the next one, and it'll keep reading. So that's very cool stuff. Yeah.
I got it interesting. When I went on vacation, I unplugged all my routers, and TVs, and everything. When I came back, my DNS was missing off my router. I can't stream US channels like I used to.
Because you can't set your own DNS.
Well, it seems like they changed the menu since I did it originally.
This is the Prodigy router.
I don't know which router it is actually. I didn't look at the name of it. It's a little white one like that.
Yeah, if it's from Telmex.
It is Telmex.
Yeah, I've got a router you can't control the DNS on. The domain name server settings. And that's what needs to change for some of these sites that allow you to go to Netflix, even though you're in Mexico. You need to be able to control the DNS. The only thing I've been able to do in using that router is connect it to another router.
I got it hooked up to a Netgear.
Yeah, and set your DNS settings in the Netgear.
I can't seem to access the admin. I tried the 192.168.1.1.01, so it won't access the.
If you go into the settings of your network settings, you should see Gary, see guys. I guess we're just winding it up, aren't we? I wanted to talk about the Ring doorbell, but I'll save it for next.
The what?
For next, the Ring doorbell, the one with the video camera in it. We've been using it at the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
I'll save that for next meeting. I wanted to talk about the Apple password bug, but I'll save that for next meeting too. I think it's fixed anyway.
I wish you would think about what I told you about some of the basics, though.
Yeah, no, I've written a note here, and we'll start thinking in those lines.
Your router, one of the things that they requested when we came back was they said, before we can hook up your internet, we have to give you a new router. Have you dealt with that? No,
Did you get a new router? That's what it is. Is those?
I set it up. I can't remember if I set it up on my Netgear or my Telmex router.
If you want to have control over your DNS and you have one of these new routers, you have to just plug it into your own router and give up on the Telmex router and use your Netgear. And your Netgear, you have control over the DNS. But they've done that with the most recent routers. You don't have any control over the DNS. They set the DNS.
The one that was issued last year.
Yeah, that's
what you had?
Yeah, I think it's got two white antennas, it's flat, and it's a rectangle that sits upright.
Right.
Yeah, that one I have no control over the DNS. And
oh, really?
Right. And
the new ones you do have control over?
No, the old ones you have control over. The new ones you don't.
Oh, okay.
Mine's only a couple months old. It doesn't have antennas on it.
Yeah, mine's only maybe 6, 8 months old.
Well, I think they're going forward with this not being able to control the DNS on their equipment. They want to control the DNS on their equipment. Now, consequently, the reason I became aware of this issue, because I hadn't paid any attention to what was going on inside the Telmex router, outside of any configurations I needed, was that you couldn't get to the Computer Club website. And it was a Telmex DNS problem. They were broadcasting here locally in San Carlos. A large percentage of us were getting an automatic DNS address that for some reason a whole section of the internet was unreachable. Whenever you looked up those IP addresses, they just went nowhere. And I contacted Telmex about it, and I could never get up to a level of service, a tier of support, where somebody could tell me what to do, or they get it reported so they could fix it, because it was really a problem on their end. Right. That's what I was using. And I could talk to first and second level techs, and they are all like, no, this is a problem with your web hoster. And I'm like, no, if you think that, you're really not listening to what I'm saying. And you can test it on your end, but I suspect it'll work because it's this particular DNS in our local area that's having the problem. It's either in San Carlos, or it's in Guaymas, or it's in Sonora. But a whole bunch of us were connected using that as our source. And when you use that as the source, this whole section of internet was missing. And what I talked to the tech through was go to your command line, do an NS lookup, change your server source to this other source, and you'll see things don't get looked up. And they did it, and they still said, I have no way of reporting this. I still think it's a problem with your web page host, which at that point, that's not a very sophisticated tech, because they have those two things have nothing to do with each other. And so I took another approach. I went to one of the DNSs, well, one of the domains that wasn't getting looked up. It was in Australia. It's the one that the Computer Club pages are registered with. And they verified, yeah, this is obviously a problem with Telmex. I'm like, well, don't you guys have some way of talking to another entity out there and let them know that you can't be found by them? And they're like, no, nothing like that exists. This has to be reported to them. They have to take the initiative to fix it. We don't speak Spanish. We're not going to do that.
That's why I was interested when Thailand said we're going to be a digital nation, and they are working toward that. I thought to myself, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
And you're talking about that kind of thing.
Means the internet speeds like South Korea has.
Somewhat germane to this, and you have children this age. My 12-year-old grandson is in 7th grade in a Chicago suburb. The school has supplied everyone, and it's a massive school. There must be 600 kids in his class alone. Every one of those kids has a computer. Everyone is required to do homework and research on the computer that they're given. And they're also required to have a cell phone.
Right?
So,
well,
yes, it's going in that direction.
We had an interesting experience because the kids have gotten back into school. It's Emily's first year of junior high, secundaria, and she has been told to make a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, well.
And we're at home. She's like, I got to do a PowerPoint presentation. I'm like, wait a second, that's not in the requirements for school.
It isn't.
How can they ask you to do this? Do they have a computer lab that they're giving you time in, or? Well, and it kind of burned me at first. I'm like, why am I supposed to have PowerPoint when nobody's told me that I'm supposed to have bought this for my child or provided it for my child? They haven't provided for me. And then I start, I'm just like, just acting a little frustrated. And I start looking around a bit. It's like, well, maybe this isn't an unreasonable thing to assume people have. The PowerPoint she ends up using is the free version that's available to all Android devices. She's got an Android tablet.
I asked him, I said, what happens if you fall and trip or drop that on the way to, it's under the school bus? What happens if you...
It's in the cloud.
The parents have to pay. I said, well, what's it worth? And you said around $700. Now, you factor this with all these kids. That's a very expensive process.
Can't afford pencils and paper, but
no,
you can sure in the hell have a
they have to
computer.
supply their own,
I think 700 is an exaggeration because most of the equipment that's being handed out in school districts are between $100 to $300.
That would make more sense to me. That that's probably what they want for the aggravation of having to replace it from the kid. They threaten them with that. I don't know, but this school is enormous. And you factor all of these kids in, it's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
And yet he's never had cursive handwriting.
I don't think it's as bad as you think. You can go in, if you have low income, in Tucson?
No.
No, in Tucson.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have low income, you can go into Rise, which is a place there that sells used stuff.
Yeah.
Not Fry. Rise, R-I-S-E.
Okay.
Okay.
And you can buy a laptop for $100. Okay, you can buy any kind of a computer for right at $100.
But I still think that's a massive amount when you factor how they factor out per kid per number of days that school is actually in session. The last time I taught in a public school system, they figured about $7 a kid per day. Now it's probably up to 14 or 15. But still, that's a massive investment. It's a huge investment.
Yeah.
And yet, to me,
Not really compared to defense spending, but yeah.
no.
It's like pittance compared
If
to
they
some
got-
of these other
if
things
they
we've got
got
in the budget.
government out of the education,
Oh, definitely.
if they
That's
did,
these laws, yes.
then you'd be able to afford most anything.
One more question.
Sure.
We're having a lot of trouble with buffering. Is that on Telcell's end or the TV provider we're using?
Man, not with me. My internet connection's flying. What are you buffering?
I'm watching a IPTV address.
Oh, okay.
Vapor,
Well, you know
data streams.
the thing to keep in mind with that is that you always remember that the speed at which you can receive data is always as fast as the slowest link in that chain between you and the source. And I would imagine a lot of these IPTV, especially the free ones, but the cheap ones or the questionable ones, are coming from servers that get overburdened. And the buffering is probably only happening so that it can collect enough data on your end for you to have a good viewing experience in the end.
Is Telmex 5G capable?
Telcel, you mean?
Telmex or whatever.
Well, Telcel is the cell phone network.
Telmex?
Well, Telmex doesn't 5G is a cell phone technology.
How come I have a 5G router?
Oh, you have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. That's what that is. It's not 5th generation wireless carrier. It is 5G, like 2.4G telephones. It's
I got a dual band router.
that's what it is. And
I've been linking it through my Telmex router to my Netgear router. Does that lose that 5G capability?
if you're going to use your Netgear as your DNS, then all those other capabilities from the Telmex router aren't available.
Or not?
They're not. The moment you connect to the Telmex stuff, you lose your DNS from your Netgear. You follow what I mean? You're on a completely... The Telmex router, the Infinitum router in your house is a network. It's pre-configured. You don't have any control over how it's configured. I mean, well, that's not necessarily true, but as far as the DNS goes, nowadays you don't have control over that. If you add the Netgear, you add another network. It's fed from this network, but when you connect to this, you're not on that network anymore. So none of the capabilities that are provided with this equipment are available if you're connected here. Does that make sense?
That means I can change my DNS on my Netgear.
Right, but it also means you cannot be connected through Wi-Fi on your...
No, I use the Netgear.
Yeah.
I use Netgear 5G because of my Roku and my Android box.
Okay. Well, if you've got 5G on your Netgear, then it's moot because you don't need to even worry about the Telmex stuff, the Infinitum stuff.
Where I had it's been so long since I set my DNS up, I can't remember where I did it.
Well, that's where I would do it. In fact, in a perfect world, I would always recommend people get a basic connection to their internet provider and feed that to a router they bought themselves with the capabilities they're looking for.
See, that's what he's talking about is
It's just more secure. It's just more secure.
you got an internet telephone, right? Okay. We have now internet telephone. We have internet TV. What else?
Computers.
Computer, yeah. So there's three things that are all connected to the internet, and my phone, which is a hard of hearing phone, doesn't work too good with internet phone.
Right.
It doesn't work too good. I don't know why. It works, but not real good. And they told me that point blank. And yet, there's a lot of people still that have regular phone, to their house.
You know, there might be a technical reason for that. It might have something to do with frequency response, because you have a phone that's built specifically for hard of hearing. It's focusing on a very specific frequency range for you to listen to, and because it's an internet phone, they may be cutting out frequency ranges so that you get a more consistent phone call. Because the human ear can decipher garbage much easier than equipment can. It could be cutting those frequency ranges so that you can still carry on a conversation, but you know it's not that great a quality and not dynamic, not very dynamic in its volume, and that has an adverse effect against a very specific kind of product like your phone. It could be that phone requires that dynamic range of sound to create it in a way that you can hear it.
Now you're talking about another area which I find interesting, and that is hearing aids. Hearing aids are all internet.
Well, they're Bluetooth now.
Yep.
Bluetooth hearing aids.
Yep.
We're real close to you just walking into a store and buying a hearing aid off the shelf, the same device that somebody else would buy for listening to music as they walk down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's very cool. I suspect it will go gangbusters over the next year. This will be the thing. Samsung and Apple, they are going to get their products as close to hearing aid certified as possible, so that you can just take out your hearing aids, use these earbuds, and you can use it for music, but you can also use it to augment your sound.
For $39.95.
Yeah.
What they call wireless hearing aid.
Yep. Now, since you don't have a hearing aid, I've been pursuing the idea of why is understandability, in other words, comprehension, why is that one of the biggest problems with hearing aids? I can hear you, but sometimes I can't understand you. Okay?
Yeah.
And so then I talked with people about this, and they said, well, there are some hearing aids that have 25 to 50 channels that are adjustable. Well, first of all, they said 25 to 50 channels. How many channels do I have? I have about 15. Okay, my hearing aids are worth $1,500 a piece. Okay, and they're pretty good. But only out of the 15 channels, 7 are adjustable. She sits there with a computer and she adjusts the channels.
Yeah. See, this
Okay.
is going to change. Over the next year, you're going to be looking at things that auto adjust.
Yeah, but what they're really doing is a lot of these that say they have 25 to 50 channels,
Mm-hmm.
they're not adjustable.
Right.
And so it's a marketing tool to sell people, well, this is better. And my audiologist said, we have people in Florida that come into the office once a year. They say, what's new in the way of hearing aids? And so they tell us, well, we've upped it from 15 channels now to 50 channels. Oh, I want the 50 channels, okay? And they put up the money, but they're not adjustable. So they're not any better than ones I have. But
Well,
I do have a comprehension problem. I really do.
Well, it might have something to do with like dynamic sound.
It has to do with frequency.
Yeah, frequencies.
Yeah, frequencies. I hear certain things. Okay.
We should call it.
Yep.
This is the end. Thanks for joining us, people.
Well, it was interesting.
What'd you use for a Cody build?
I'm not using a build. What I've done is I'm at 17.4. I'm dependent on the track plugin, the metallic plugin, and whatever other plugins that you might want to add. But those two are the most important ones. And I am able to, as that's set up, I'm able to wipe the library of movies and TV shows, use metallic and track, go to a metallic movie list of my track collection and scan that to my library. So I'm tracking all the movies I want to watch or have watched, all the TV shows I have watched or want to watch. I can go to TV shows in metallic, I can go to look at my track list, and I can say add all those to my library. And then use the track plugin to update where you are at that moment. And then the track plugin is configured to update itself automatically every time the library is updated. So outside of updating the inventory across devices, That's the only thing that's proven to be kind of a problem, is that I actually have to wipe out the library and update it fresh if I add something new. And so sometimes it's faster for me to just add the show I added in the living room to the bedroom. It's easier for me to just find that show and add it than it is to just refresh the entire thing.
I just use my favorites.
Well, in this case, like, favorites are stored locally, right? It's stored on the box.
Yeah.
So if you wiped out the box, you'd wipe out your favorites. If you wanted those in another box, there isn't an easy way. Actually, I did find another way to do that too. You can back them up. You can back up all your settings on one box to like a USB drive, and you can move them over to another box.
Really?
I got a brand new box for Maggie when she gets back.
Oh, cool.
She bought the same one I bought, so I recommend it.
Now, the only thing that I have not come up with is a good solution for live TV.
Yeah, I've got this one deal for $5. It's called Players Club. It has 300 channels
Mm-hmm.
for $5 a month. It's got the pay-per-view, it's got the movies, it's got everything. But it's
But no news or anything like
it's
that.
got Fox News.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, there's another Android app. If you've got an Android TV box, let me see if I remember the name of it. I think it's called, it's Terrarium TV. And that is like all of this already baked together so that you can just easily open up an app, lists out all this content that's available, click on the content, and it does everything for you. Finds it, puts it in front of you, makes it possible for you to just start playing.
There's a live TV app on Android too called Mobidrome.
You know, I played with that over the summer, and it's gotten better over the summer, but it's still not an ideal
See,
solution.
this would be a good topic. All these people around here that are paying $120 a month, for DirecTV, you're gonna have.
We can get past the buffering problem. I don't mind paying the $15 a month we've been paying for that Vader.
I know. Yeah.
Well, and who knows? Things are happening really quick. Did you see that Amazon Prime is hosting NFL in Mexico?
Is that right?
So you can
See,
stream the shows. You can stream the. I'm not a sports fan, but that's very powerful stuff.
For that $5 a month, you get all the NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA.
NFL can go
For $50 a year in Mexico, they're saying watch NFL through Prime.
If they don't stand up for the national anthem, they can.
That's a whole different issue. I'm not even putting that on the topic list.
Oh, no.
Okay, Scott.
All right.
Maybe a good idea would be to get a email list of all of our clubs, so we can communicate back and forth during the week.
Yeah.
Just pass a note, a deal around.
I saw something getting passed around. Is that what that was?
Does she?
Yeah.
That's how she gets.
Oh,
It just needs to continually be updated. We need a better way of just
Need a
keeping that
secretary.
information updated.
Well,
Yeah.
just a clipboard, pass around,
Mm-hmm.
and put your email down once a month. Pass it around
Change
once a
it.
month.
If you change it, just cross it out.
Well, and if you are in Facebook, go and like the page, because I announce stuff there all the time, and so it'll show up on your feed.
I'm on San Carlos Club, and I've never seen a post on there.
Really, you should have had like 3 today.
Nobody
Well,
likes you.
today, but my computer's dead today.
Nobody likes you.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Well, this has been the San Carlos Computer Club. As you can see, I am all by myself. I'm going to start putting away equipment and head in my direction. I got jobs to get to. As always, I'm from International Computer Solutions. Here's my old logo. I'm wearing an old shirt today. If you're having computer problems in Mexico or anywhere on the internet and you're looking for some advice or some help, I'd appreciate it if you'd contact me. Our local office phone number is 226-0209. I can be reached through internationalcs.net. You can also reach me through the Computer Club. If you are interested in recordings like this or or any topics that we might be sharing with our group members, you can find all that information at scclub.org. Reach me, Scott at scclub.org or Scott at internationalcs.net through email. Again, we meet here every Tuesday from 9:15 to 10:15-ish. As you can see, we can run over sometimes, at Tequila's in San Carlos, an awesome bar and grill. If you're looking for a place to eat breakfast, people show up here before the meeting at 8:30 and they stick around for the computer club meeting. Today should be our official first club meeting with the kind of response and crowd we had today. It sure feels that way. But, however, this is actually the second meeting. And if you're looking for the conversation that Linda and I had on the first meeting last week, well, I've just posted that today. So that's available on scclub.org. It's also available in iTunes or Google Play. Just search for the San Carlos Computer Club and you'll find the list of episodes. Thanks again. Scott Stimson signing off. Tech On.